I spoke earlier about some of the bitterness of the last week before we enjoyed our chocolate and treats together. And another group that has had a particularly hard, scary week are the families of trans children and youth and the trans and non-binary communities in Texas. Many of whom are wondering, or not wondering, many of them are aware that they are living in a state that is actively trying to stop them from living their lives. Now, what does this have to do with spiritual practices? Well, you may have an answer in your head already, but one of the things about spiritual practices is that they're very often practiced internally or in isolation or by yourself. But they are not intended to be isolating practices. They are intended to be practices that connect us to the world, give us empathy and compassion and resilience to continue doing the work of bringing justice and liberty and the things that we hold most dear. Earlier this week, I signed a letter along with the other Unitarian Universalist clergy of Houston condemning Governor Abbott and his targeting of the trans community and threatening legal penalties against families and professionals who seek to help children and youth affirm their own identities. It reads in part, "We as faith leaders condemn the governor's attack on the worth and dignity of our fellow Texans, especially our youngest. Our acceptance of one another is an acceptance of the diversity of life. These are young people who have the courage to ask that their parents and healthcare professionals meet their medical needs as they know them to be. To mischaracterize and demonize their brave efforts and accuse parents of abuse is unconscionable." I'll put the full letter in our Beacon Bits this week. Now, writing a letter, signing on to a public statement, in and of itself, doesn't feel like a terribly brave act. But it is the actions that are behind the words that we sign ourselves onto that matter most. In this community, we seek to be a place where the trans and non-binary community and their families are welcomed and celebrated. And in a week like this, that feels especially important. We've been talking about spiritual practices now, off and on, for a few months. And I sometimes wonder what difference this has made in your life, if there are things that you are trying now. Later in the service, in just a little bit, we're going to be breaking out into several small groups and doing several different types of spiritual practices together. Perhaps you will find something new that you enjoy. But before we do that, I would like us to take a moment to ground ourselves in this present, wherever you are. This is a very quick meditation that I was reminded of a couple of weeks ago. It has 4 words. I am here now. So what I want you to do is take your hand and start by saying, I am. I am here. I am here now. I invite you to do this again out loud or silently in your own home. I am. I am here. I am here now. I particularly like this as a grounding exercise because you can do it silently anywhere you want. So anytime you're feeling a bit unmoored, unsettled, uncertain, something that you can do in just a couple of moments to bring yourself back into your body, into the place where you are, and into the moment that you are living. I want to tell you a little bit about some of the spiritual practices that you can choose from in our breakout rooms here in just a moment. The first one is a movement meditation. And that movement meditation will be led by Jody Morse. You'll be doing movements to the Gandhi Peace Prayer, which is something a lot of our kids are familiar with from their RE classes, followed by some joyful movement meditation that I totally let Jody do her own thing on. It's going to be a lot of fun. The next group that you can join is practicing what's called Lectio Divina, and that group will be led by Hallie Moore. Lectio Divina is a type of sacred reading where you read a poem, you listen to a poem or a scripture passage being read twice. The first time you listen to what the poem or scripture or text is saying in and of itself. And the second time you reflect on what it is saying to you here now. We will also be having a group doing a guided meditation, which will be led by Catherine Donahue. She will read a guided meditation and invite everyone to participate as well. We will be having a reflective journaling group for folks who want to do a little more thinking and reflecting internally. And that group will be led by Monica Foy. She'll have a couple of questions for reflection, and you will have some time in quiet together to journal, to draw, to sit and think, and then an opportunity if you wish to share your experience. The last group, that breakout group that we have, will be an art meditation. That will be led by Sarah De Silva. She will have 3 images to reflect on and think about which of those images is resonating with you and why. And in each of these groups, after you have completed your practice, you'll have the opportunity to share what that experience has been like, anything that came up for you within your small group. If none of those quite resonate with you, or if you would prefer a musical meditation, we will be doing a musical meditation in the main sanctuary room. Whichever of these practices is speaking to you here now. I hope that it will open up something for you today.